Hey everyone, and welcome back from vacation. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Today we are going to be talking about elimination again, so solving systems of equations using elimination. However, this time it's going to be slightly different. So I'm going to do the same thing I usually do, and we're going to write the steps off to the side. So step 1, same thing it's been, is make sure your equations are lined up. So we've got our x's lined up, our y's lined up, our equal signs lined up, and our whole numbers lined up. So we are good to go. Next step is to determine what to eliminate. Now, it doesn't really matter. So if we look at our two equations, we've got a 5x, a 10x, a y, and a 7y. So none of them are exactly ready to be eliminated right away. So what we're going to do is we are going to multiply one or both of our equations. To eliminate a variable. So what I mean by that is we're going to look at our equations and say, okay, do we want to eliminate x or y? Let's say x just because. I've got a 5x and I've got a 10x. So how could I make these two be exactly the same? Well, if I want to make them the same, I could change this 5 to a 2. This 5 by a 10. How could I make that 5 a 10? By multiplying this equation by 2. So I'm actually going to multiply it by a -2 so that I add my equations instead of subtracting. So I'm going to do -2 times 5x, and I get -10x. -2 times y is -2y equals, now this is the part that students mess up, you also have to multiply it by the 9. So -2 times 9 is -18. Now I'm just going to bring down what I had in my second equation. So I've got a positive 10x minus 7y equals -18. So this is why I multiplied my first equation by a -2 so that this is a -10, and now all I'm going to do is I'm going to add these two equations together. So -10x plus 10x cancels, and I'm left with 0. -2y minus 7y is -9y. -18 minus 18 is -36. Now, I don't really have to write the 0. I am going to divide both sides by -9, and therefore y equals positive 4. Now that I know what y equals, I'm going to substitute that into one of my equations. So what I'm going to write for steps, you guys should know this, is basically just solve as you know and love. Okay, so going back, we know that y equals 4. So what I'm going to do is substitute this into one of my equations. I'm going to choose the first one, which is 10x. Oh, just kidding, that was the second one. Which is 5x plus y equals 9. Okay, so I've got 5x plus 4 equals 9. So 5x equals 9 minus 4. That's going to give me 5. And then if I divide both sides by 5, x equals 1. So my solution is 1, 4. Now if I want to check, I'll just substitute into my second equation, which was 10x minus 7 times y. So I've got 10x minus 28 equals negative 18. Add 28, I get 10x equals 10. Divide both sides, and I get x equals 1. So I just checked, x equals 1 and x equals 1, so I am good. So the only difference here are our x's and our y's aren't lined up to be the same. So let's move on to a second example. So first step, is everything lined up? It sure is, so we are good to get started. Now in this case, I've got negative 4x and negative 4x. So if you wanted to, you could subtract since they're the same. However, a lot of students mess up when they subtract. So what I would recommend doing is multiplying one of your equations. Yeah, let's do the bottom one this time. By a negative 1. So negative 1 times negative, well, here. Bring down this first equation. And then distribute. So negative 1 times negative 4. I accidentally erased a negative. It's supposed to be negative 4x minus 5y equals 2. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. So then I get positive 4x. Negative 1 times y is negative y. Negative 1 times 14 is negative 14. Okay, so I keep messing up, so let's double check everything. We have negative 4x minus 5y equals 2. Good, distributed everything, so we should have positive 4x minus y equals negative 14. Okay, so the only benefit to multiplying by the negative 1 is now I'm going to add my two equations, which is nice because, I don't know, people in general, plus especially Algebra 1 students, tend to make less mistakes when they are adding. So why not? So these are going to cancel. We get 0, negative 5y minus y is negative 6y. And 2 plus negative 14 is negative 12. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 6. And negative 12 divided by negative 6 is 2. So y is 2. Now I'm going to substitute into one of my equations. Let's do the first one. So negative 4x minus 5 times 2 equals 2. Negative 4x, negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Sorry. I don't know if you guys can hear Coda barking in the other room. He's got a lot of energy. Alright, anyways, so plus 10. Negative 4x equals 10 plus 2 is 12. So now I'm going to divide by -4. And I get x equals 3. Just kidding, -3. Because I accidentally dropped my negative. Alright, hopefully you guys don't make this many mistakes in your homework tonight. So my solution is -3, 2. Alright, last example. 5x plus 4y equals -30. 3x minus 9y equals -18. So the thing that's different about this problem compared to like the first one is we only have to multiply one equation. If we look at this equation, there's nothing we can multiply 5 by, so it's 3. Nothing we can multiply 3 by, so it's 5. Similarly, can't make a 4 a 9, can't make a 9 a 4. So once again, you're just going, oh crud. Man, I'm having a lot of difficulties. Okay, so what we're going to do is just pick which equation you want to eliminate. I mean, which variable. So I feel like eliminating my x's because why not? So to eliminate them, the easiest thing to do is just multiply by the other number. So I'm going to multiply the first equation by 3. And I'm going to multiply my second equation, let's get a different color, by 5. So first equation, distribute, so, oh, and let's make one of these negative. Let's make the second one a -5. That way I add my equations instead of subtracting. So 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 20. Just kidding. Oh my gosh. 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 times -30 is -90. You know, I could go and make a second video where I'm not making so many mistakes, but I don't feel like it. Okay. -5 times 3, -15. -5 times -9 is positive 45. And -5 times -18 is positive 90. Alright, hopefully I didn't mess up. So now I'm going to add these two equations together. These go away. 12 plus 45 is 57. -90 plus 90 is 0. Worked out well. Divide both sides by 57, y equals 0. Now I'm going to solve for x by substituting 0 into the first equation. So 5x plus 4 times 0 equals -30, which means 5x equals -30, which means divide both sides by 5, x equals -6. So then my answer is -6, 0. So, there are 3 examples where you multiply both things. You multiply by a 1, -1, and you multiply just one equation. Your homework tonight is going to be a welcome back worksheet where you're going to be reviewing graphing, substitution, and elimination. You've got the rest of the period to work on this, which is a lot of time, so please be focused. Tomorrow we're going to talk about different kinds of solutions, and then we are going to introduce word problems. So be productive, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.